concept of mixing video and music at the same time comes from? Where the idea came to you from? Were you inspired by other artists? Or?
Well, it's a very, very old idea. People have been doing it for hundreds of years. There were old priests who were developing light organs that when they hit a note, a candle would burn with a different, there would be a wheel would turn with different colours. And so I think people have been doing that kind of thing for a long time, and there've been artists, in the last century, in the early part of last century, like Len Lai, and these kind of people who were making, and Oscar Fischinger, who were making kind of visual music. And but I think in the modern sense, people like EBN, Emergency Broadcast Network, from America, they were probably the real innovators of this whole field, and they were taking bits from movies and cutting it up. But people like Nam June Pak, and they were doing this in the 70s, and so it's nothing new in that sense. But I think that there's not many people, I think, doing quite what we do, in the sense we take a whole film and we will sample an entire film, cut it up and condense it. Would you say, like one track made from a whole film? Not many people do that. There are many people who take music videos and they sample little bits of films and they'll mix them together. But that's not quite, I guess, what we do. But yeah, the idea just developed over time, really.
So when people talk about the visual scratches, do you feel concerned with this the name? Do you think it's in the music business it can be a new culture or a new tendency, or do you think it's just something weird that you've been developing?
Well, in the music business, they like to put everything in a bracket, so they might call it a name that's nice and simple for people to understand. So whether it's like visual, VJs, DJs, whatever, what we do is we manipulate visual media, all encompassing with audio, so it's both at the same time. It's not fair to give it a name.
It'd be good if it did have a name, though, because then we could say, oh yeah, we are blah blah blah, but otherwise nobody understands.
You're immediately bracketing yourself in with everybody else.
Yeah, true.
So 4 years ago, I met Matt Black from Complète, and he liked to call his artistic way visual scratches.
Visual scratches. Okay. What was that phrase we come up with the other day? It's a really good
bollocks
names, yeah. But no, there was, what was it? Visual something or other.
Visual music, but that's
visual
not
music.
But that's an old phrase. Again, people have used it for many years. But again, it doesn't quite describe it. I think, but I've heard people say about visual scratching, but I've never heard that as a term to describe the whole.
Yeah. I wouldn't say what Cold Cut do is visual scratching.
I think there isn't really a term
above that. Yeah.
I mean, the nearest there is to an overall term that people use is audiovisual. But also audiovisual can mean so many other things. Yeah. And and so it's one of those when if you say, oh yeah, we're audiovisual artists, people go, oh,
the best solution is for people to come and see the show.
Yeah, we need the press, we need you guys to come up with a term. We need a really good term that describes it all.
Yeah.
And so how do you work to prepare a track, or you take a whole film? What comes first, music, the movie?
They sort of both all at the same time. I think, especially with what we do and the way we do it, you can't really just sort of take some samples, do a movie, and make some music and then cut.
It's working backwards. If you do it both at the same time, you cover all angles.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the time the video will affect the music, and the music will affect the video, and so sometimes we will build a bit of music and we'll be editing it, and then suddenly you kind of realise that the sequence that you're building visually doesn't work, and so we will then change the music, and so it's all affecting each other at the same time. A bit like a game of tennis, it's just do until it finishes. And it's the only way. So
from show to shows, I guess there's a lot of evolution. So can you tell me about how, what kind of freedom you can get in from show to show to, because people are very curious about what DJs and electronic music producers are doing behind desks and behind the computers. So
a lot of what we're doing is no different to a DJ. I mean, it really isn't, you know, you're still beat matching from one track to the next, and, you know, cutting and scratching other stuff on top of, you know, because there's two of us doing it. So Mark will mostly be mixing all the tracks together, and I'll be adding stuff on top, and then we'll have software like VJ Pro. Funny enough, Matt Black uses the same, and we'll be just sampling stuff on top, sometimes putting little sequences that you then mix over the top.
Yeah, I mean, musically, if you were to take away the visuals, it's very DJ based, which is the obvious, very good solution for a club and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But it's when you combine the two, that's what makes it exciting.
I think a lot of the time we've always had to go for the simple solution, because a lot of festivals that we get booked to play in, you get like no time to set up, like 30 minutes, you know. You have to get in, you have to set up, and then they bring in the next act or the next band, and then when you come in, your rolling riser is brought on, you play, and then you have to pack up and go. So if we were coming in with, like, you know, 5 laptops and computers and MIDI controllers and, you know, we just couldn't, you know.
Not every venue can cater for
that. Or they all have the space. Sometimes, you know, you're given like a DJ booth, and you have to kind of effectively just put the turntables in there and like one laptop underneath, and it's we've always kind of tried to get it as simple as possible.
So thank you very much.